Entering the box. All right, we are back on Inside the Box. I have some guests that I am personally excited about. We have Visit Springfield here, the people in charge of marketing our city, which is pretty cool. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Amy Beadle. I'm the marketing manager.
I am Sarah Wagner, the tourism manager.
And Scott Dahl, director.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Obviously we're big into marketing and promotions and stuff like that. So I was really excited that you guys were willing to come join me and talk about a little bit about, everything you guys have going on. I think you've done some really cool stuff, and there's a lot of stuff going on that maybe people don't know about. But also it's just interesting to think about, like, you guys are in charge of promoting the city. Like, that's kind of cool to think about, you know what I mean, from my perspective at least. Let's just start with maybe a little bit of backgrounds on everybody. Amy, you want to start off?
Sure. I've been in Springfield since 1987 and been in travel, tourism, hospitality since 1988. So I have a lengthy time at this, and just feel so fortunate to be able to be the one. As you said, it is very exciting from an outside or an insider's perspective to be responsible for marketing our city to the entire world, be it conventions, meetings, or tourists. So have just done this for a long time, worked at several hotels, and back at the SCVB for 4 years now.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
So I am relatively new to the CVB. I started in August of last year. Prior to that, I worked for 7 years in the city of Litchfield as tourism coordinator.
Oh,
and
cool.
then prior to that, I worked for 2 years in Bloomington at Miller Park Zoo. So
Nice.
history and tourism.
You've got
and
some experience on that side of
yes,
things.
yes. So now I'm here in Springfield and excited to represent Illinois' capital city.
Yeah. How about yourself, Scott?
I spent 10 years in hotel operations, 16 years with the Illinois Hotel Lodging Association, and the last 4 years as the director of the Springfield Convention Visitors Bureau.
Yeah. And, I mean, how long did you say you've been there now for also?
I've been back there for 4 years now. Mm-hmm.
So you guys all came in like right before things got a little bit crazy.
There was a little bit of a plan there. I'm not going to lie.
Might have been. Building the dream team.
I was told I was going.
Yeah, that's
You kind of were.
I kind of was.
Yeah.
That's a challenge, yeah. So I mean, maybe just give everybody a quick kind of breakdown of, Visit Springfield if they're not familiar at all, kind of what you guys in general do, what you're in charge of, and whichever.
Yeah,
one's
absolutely.
best.
Well, Visit Springfield, or the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau, as we're known locally. We're a city agency. We're the destination marketing agency for the city. We're responsible primarily for bringing in the visitors 90 miles and outside of the city.
Okay.
So that's our focus. It's not so much local. Not that we don't want that sense of community, right?
Yeah.
But really, we're funded through the local hotel tax or the bed tax. And so our primary focus is bringing people from out of town that'll spend the night, and spend money locally.
So outside 90 miles or further, basically.
Yes.
What? How far do you typically? I mean, I guess I've seen people travel from all over, but is there like an average that you see of like a distance that people typically come from?
Usually we mark it out to about a 5 or 6 hour out, what you'd consider to be a reasonable drive for a 4 or 5 day long weekend vacation or even a week's vacation. So usually 90 miles to about 6 hours out. So we go into all the neighboring states, up to Michigan. We do see a lot of people from Texas, so we do market there as well. We also have that nonstop flight on American. Now we're out in Mesa, so we're doing a little marketing out in that market since we have that Mesa, Arizona flight. So a lot of local people say, well, I never see any advertising that you do. And I said, perfect.
I've never thought about that before, I guess. Yeah.
So, but it's also a downfall because people thank you for having us, because people don't know what we do and they don't understand who we are and why they don't see us maybe locally as much. Now, that changed some in the pandemic. We went hyper local, but then we quickly worked our way back to filling the hotel rooms. As Scott said, that is how we make our money. So
interesting. Yeah, no, I think I even when in the past, like a long time ago before you guys were all there, when I worked with the Visit Springfield, I don't think anybody ever relayed that to me, that it was like that they're not supposed to focus on local as much. So that's I think that's good for everybody to know. But you guys have a lot of cool stuff that goes on. And I mean, geez, a lot you guys have to promote. I was actually just, I hadn't been on your website in a while. So this morning I was just kind of looking through it again, and how it's relatively new. When would the website get changed over?
We changed it over January it was about a year-long process for kind of switching it through, and we were planning on rolling it out in January of 2020. We did a soft launch because we still had a few technical things we were working on. Then by the time we were ready to full launch, we had a whole different situation on our hands, so we didn't really get to go out as hard as we wanted to, but thank you for noticing that. It has come a very long way in the last 3 or 4 years, and it is chocked full of information. And that's for locals. Locals should be
Well, that's
using
what I
that.
was thinking. I was like, there's so much stuff on there it's just such a good tool to see everything going on. And I try to, even when someone asks me like about stuff going on, I'm like, go check the website. Or the other thing we do is we run the Sharing Springfield page, which is just sharing random content, kind of like you guys do to an extent. But I tell them all the time, like, if we're trying to share events or whatever, jump on there. They got stuff on there. And I just gave them the History Comes Alive schedule the other day. I was like, here's all kinds of stuff you can put on there or share or let people know is going on, which has been awesome helping with. I don't know if you want to tell people a little bit about the History Comes Alive.
Sure. So History Comes Alive is our annual summer program where we incorporate sites and attractions all over the city, do special programs almost every day in the summer. We have a schedule that we put out. You can find it on visitspringfieldillinois.com. So that is our website that we are talking about. And then you can, we do have some shuttle services available on Saturdays as well as tours. And we appreciate your partnership with that as well.
No, it's been super cool to see it again. I haven't been down to, you know what I mean? It's just, my life has been so hectic lately between all this and kids, and it's like I don't ever get to do out and do anything, so it's kind of nice when you get an opportunity, a job to go do some of the stuff that you kind of wish you could go do anyway and just enjoy. But super cool stuff for those that haven't looked at it. I mean, the History Cooks thing was neat. I saw you down there. Yep. And it was the, what's his name, the chef at Maldner's?
Michael Higgins.
Yeah, Michael Higgins. He was down there kind of showing, cooking with stuff that might have been in the Lincoln's Garden or whatever. That was neat. And I was telling my wife about that, and I was like, yeah, it was just like, I don't remember what it was, but it was like kiwi and onion. And she's like, what? I was like, it's actually pretty good. I don't know.
It was good.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was just add a little flavor to it, and it was, I liked it. But no, super cool stuff going on. So do you guys organize that stuff? Like, was that something Visit Springfield came up with, or how do things like that work?
So for the History Comes Alive program, I coordinate with sites around Springfield. So I worked with the Lincoln Home, who had this concept, and we brainstormed to see how we could come up with and execute that. And so he partnered with Lincoln Land Community College. We're so grateful for that. So that's kind of usually how the brainstorming
the different pieces
goes.
of it.
Yes.
What are other things we could do?
Yeah, and History
History
Comes Alive. Oh, that's right. History Comes Alive is a program that's ours. But generally, we market events and programs.
Right.
So we're on the marketing side versus the operational side. Outside of History Comes Alive,
we don't execute a lot other than that. But it's the 13th year that it's been alive and well. So yeah, it's a great program.
What's the biggest challenge of? I mean, you have so many events, so much stuff going on. How do you guys manage promoting all that stuff?
It is a challenge, you're right, and there is a lot going on, and so we have kind of some idea of what we call hyper local, so we don't get super involved in those. But if it's things that are going to draw potential tourists, so if we can make a weekend out of something and say, hey, come this weekend because it's like for 4th of July, for instance, we put together a whole big kind of package for people to say there's 5 nights of fireworks. We have Levitt Amp starting on Thursday. The Capital City celebration is running throughout the weekend. And we try to make a visual idea of what people could come here and do and why they need to stay 3 or 4 or 5 days. As far as what we put, we have feelers out all the time. So we're signed up for every newsletter, every mailer that we can. We follow all of our partners' social accounts. And so we literally just are constantly, crawling for that information and adding it to our website. And so it's very much a time-intensive task,
Yeah.
but we hope that by being out in public, doing these things, radio shows, and just being out in general, that people will utilize our resource as a website, both locally and for visitors.
Yeah.
So,
Is there a spot on there to like submit stuff, or what's like if someone was like, "Hey, I have this event going on," do they typically like have to call you? Is there something a spot on the site to submit, or how's that usually?
a lot
work?
of times people will just email us and say, "Hey, I've got this event. Can you put it on your website?" And if it qualifies through, what we're looking for, like we don't do fundraisers or local things like that, but
Gotta
then
be like a tourism somewhat oriented type
right,
thing, yeah.
right. And so then we'll work with them on that. And then if they're a partner in our system, we can also provide them a short training, and they can put their own events on, and then we just do approval of them. So
Gotcha.
there's several ways to do that.
Okay.
Currently, we're pretty much doing everyone's.
Yeah.
It's really what the team determines as a destination event.
Yeah.
And we'll sit down, and we have a list of 40-plus destination events that we'll market throughout the year. So if we feel like an event qualifies for that and qualifies that somebody from out of town will come and spend the night and spend money in Springfield, certainly we'll add those to our destination event list.
Yeah.
We also do that through, we've built itineraries. So if someone's interested in Abraham Lincoln, we built the Abe's Perfect Journey itinerary. That has 3 days worth of things already lined out for you, exactly what to do, how to do
Make
it.
it easy, yeah.
Make it easy for
Easy as
you.
possible.
There's a Route 66 one, there's a family one, so a girls' weekend. So what we've done is we try to do all the work for you, because I think we all
Yeah.
know that that's what you have to do
That's
pretty much
awesome.
nowadays, and then feed that out to them through our social or through our website there to
Yeah.
make it easy for them and make them see visually. Maybe from the outside they don't see Springfield as a destination vacation, but once we put that all together for you and we show that you can have many different types of experiences while you're here, then it helps to sell it.
Yeah, I know, when I've worked with you guys or chatted with you or been on your website, I'm like, there's a lot going on here that I never even knew about was happening. It's really, excuse me, it's really unbelievable, honestly, like how much stuff is really going on. Sometimes you get those locals that hate on Springfield, or there's nothing that ever happens here, and I'm like, actually, I used to kind of feel that way too. And then there's actually a lot of stuff that go on. Like Saturday, the wife and I decided to take the challenge of taking a newborn and two other, 3-year-old, 1-year-old out and go downtown. We were just going to try to catch the end of the farmer's market, but then I didn't even think about it, but Paint the Street was going on. So we got the farmer's market, we grabbed some lunch, we went to Paint the Street, and I was like, it was a pretty nice little day until the kids started to lose it, but they'll have that. But it's just like, so much stuff going on that you don't, think about or pay attention to, and then you just get in that mindset of like, oh, there's nothing that happens here. But that's why, again, one of the reasons I want to have you on, and I think that website is a great tool for that. It's really cool. It's very, it's more visual, I guess, and it seems like a little more modern, We do a little bit of website design here. We don't push it a ton, but I definitely, with all of our sites nowadays, I try to explain to clients, like, everything's visual, what I mean? It's gotta, and that's where it's tough to get the good content to put on there, which I'm sure you guys have dealt with events and stuff like that. Trying to get the stuff before they actually happen is a challenge, especially if it's a new event.
Well, and when we're talking about trying to get people here, we were actually just talking about this on the way over. So for us, we need a larger lead time than, say, you and your wife decided on Friday that you were going to get up Saturday morning, go to the farmer's market, and go to Paint the Street.
Saturday at 10 a.m.
Or Saturday at 5 as you were in the car. But for who we're targeting, we want people to come and spend the night. So
Right.
we have to get that 30 to 45 day lead time and get in front of them. So we're constantly cultivating those events almost earlier than some people are ready to, give it to us. So we're always looking for those events who are planned farther out, who we can use as kind of a trigger to get people to come here, then build around that. So in our website part, we found a great platform. So our UGC, our user generated content, we have found is like super important to us, whether it be our website, our social media, or anything. That's what triggers people to act, is seeing other real people interacting with our product. So that's been something we've built over the last 2-3 years to be, extremely integrated into our website, and actually we'll be doing more of that.
Yeah.
So
what's your process on that typically, just out of curiosity? Like, people tag Visit Springfield and then just like a review and a share, or is it?
Right. So if they at Visit Springfield, obviously we follow our hashtags and our tags, but this product that we use is called CrowdRiff. And
yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Guys
right.
at
And
one of the
so
events.
it makes it very easy for us. We can be out crawling and seeing something on Instagram. We just right click. We ask the person for permission. They hashtag us back, and it's
Cool.
all in our platform. And then we push that out to the website via galleries, and so we just tag it to where we want it to land on the website, and it pushes it
Is
right
that
out
what
there.
that like homepage galleries coming
Right.
from? Yeah.
Anytime you see the little Instagram, and then we can also tag those to go directly to a spot on our website. So if we
Gotcha.
want that picture to take them to the Abe Lincoln blog, then
Cool.
we can hook that up that way. So
Interesting.
that helps a lot
Yeah,
when you
no.
have a service
Anytime
like
you can
that.
streamline stuff, it's like it's crazy. And I was just explaining to our intern Noah with this podcast. We used to film with just 2 cameras, and then when we were done, we'd have to take the cameras, offload all the footage, load them up to Premiere, sit there and watch the whole thing again, cut back and forth between cameras, and then just by the end of it, it was like a 6-hour problem. Well, now with how we have it set up with 3 cameras and a switcher and all the stuff, but when we're done here today, he's going to copy a file on a USB drive and it's ready to post. And it just, we've taken 6 hours and turned it to like maybe an hour and a half after we make like thumbnails and stuff like that for it. But it's anytime you can streamline stuff, I mean, as you know. And you guys just hired a few people, but how many people are there now working at that?
Well, pre-pandemic, we started in August of 2018. We had 13 on staff, and that number dropped to 8. Just until recently, and we started adding some new staff as we start to see a rebound, and we start to see our conventions coming back, which we've seen this year. By the way, in 2020, we had scheduled a record tourism year, certainly a record convention year, and I said if leisure shows up, it will be a record tourism year, and well, it was just the opposite
It was
way.
a record, all right.
It was a record, all right, not the record we want to repeat, but thank goodness to the Visit Springfield team and especially the sales team for getting in front of the planners and the events and all these meetings and rebooking them so quickly. The American Truck Historical Society is just one example. They were scheduled to be here in 2020, and of course when the pandemic broke out, they're typically booked for years out. And the sales team jumped right on that and was able to book them into 2022. Which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And so they were
That's
just here a
great.
couple weeks ago.
Neat.
And so things like that. And so we've had what I believe will be a record June for sure.
Oh, for sure.
We're just closing out June here, and it's been a crazy June, a good crazy June.
That's
But,
fantastic.
yeah, I mean, just getting in
What
front
a
of it.
tough time for, obviously businesses, but you guys specifically, they're all you're messing with for trying to set up events. And how was there anything that I know you said you started doing some local, like just focusing more local on stuff. Was there any other like ways you dealt with that? I'm always just curious how businesses and stuff like that.
7 and 7.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the first things that we did, of course, it took a complete mind shift, right? So you're so
tough.
used to not doing that. But then once we realized that this thing was kind of here to stay for more than 30 days, we started thinking about how can we support our local community. So 2 of the biggest efforts we did, one was called our Springfield 7 and 7. So we ran a competition. It was later in the fall, early winter. And so we developed a kind of a competition thing where it was 7 different categories. So it might have been a site or a takeout from your favorite restaurant or what have you. 7 different categories with 7 things in each category. And so we challenged people to do 7 things on this grid. And then...
That you could still do like...
Right. We went through all of the... I fortunately was on part of the incident command for the Sangamon County response, so we knew exactly what you could and couldn't do. We were very safety focused, very much, encouraging people to do things that were within the parameters. But and then self-servingly, we also asked them to send us their pictures doing these things so that we could get more of that user-generated content. And again, through CrowdRiff, we were able to set up a collector box, and so it was very easy, just click here, submit your photo. And so we've got some fun things of people, out and about trying to support the local community with that. Then we also worked more statewide with our marketing team through the Illinois Tourism Office. And with that, we got, I don't remember exactly. It was either 12 or 14 different cities around the state. And we did a weekly blog every Tuesday on a different subject. And our point of that was people can't go far and they can't do much, but if we can all share each other's best ice cream stop and
Cool.
best place to get a slice of pizza and best Mexican food, best park, and then we all committed, even though we usually only promote ourselves,
Yeah.
we all promoted each other
Great.
in hoping that people would take a day trip in a
Just in
car
that
and
little
at least
local,
come
yeah.
out and,
That's awesome.
patronize a
What good
business.
idea.
So
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I kind of almost forgot about
Yeah,
that.
really.
Yeah,
Seems like it's one of those things you kind of put out of your mind. Now it seems like it was 10 years ago that all of that
Right.
happened. But
Those bad memories, you know.
Yeah, you kind of suppress that stuff.
It is. It was amazing.
It was a
that
long haul,
no
that's for
one
sure.
Stuck
Yeah.
around and had to deal with that. How's it been since just a change from like Litchfield to here? The difference in cities and what you're doing now. Have you been enjoying it?
I have been enjoying it. I think the difference is I get to be a little more focused. So before I was doing a lot of marketing, advertising, grant writing, event planning,
Everything.
social media, website, everything.
Yeah.
So now I am privileged to get to work with all the visitors that come through our visitors center, hear their stories, direct them, allow them to have a great day here in Springfield. So it's a little more channeled.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of nice though having that well-rounded experience of everything. I found, especially with what we do, like I started off with graphic design and then I kind of learned photography and got into that, and then I was like learned videography, and I was just always interested in learning, and but doing all that ended up working out well because now you need to know all that stuff for social media and digital marketing. So it kind of
Absolutely.
just worked out, but it's nice having that well-rounded, having experience, because even if you're not doing it all the time, if somebody you're working with is, you have some sort of knowledge to
Right.
talk to them about it.
Well, I think that really shone through this year with the History Comes Alive program as well, because you were able to expand on that, not only the programming side of it, but also I think some of the marketing side. I think your brochure that you set up this year was outstanding, and it necessarily doesn't have to be channeled right through the marketing department, because Sarah's got that skill set.
Yeah.
So it's nice that she's able to take that and make it her own,
Yeah,
and have those rounded skills to do that.
Yeah, gives good input, and try to, anytime you can get something done without having too many people involved is always nice. The visitor center, though, that's only been around for a few years. How when did that?
2008.
November of 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 has it been that long?
Yeah.
Jeez, time does fly. How's that been working out though? I thought it was a great idea. I was like, that was perfect. Put something down there, because your other spots kind of, it's not off the beaten path.
It
but
is
it's-
off the beaten
yeah,
path.
like,
It's okay.
We definitely have found that out.
Yeah.
In the 20 years or so that the visitor center, quote unquote, was at the administrative offices on 7th Street, we saw about 3,000 visitors a year come through. The first full year at the visitor center, inside the Lincoln Herndon law offices on the old State Capitol Plaza, saw almost 20,000 visitors
Wow.
roll through there.
Yeah.
That's
And the
crazy.
aesthetics of it. I mean, it really, our office at the admin office never was
Yeah, it wasn't
a
set up for
welcome center, so
Yeah.
to speak. I mean,
Yeah.
it was kind of an information share
Yeah.
portal,
And there's like
but it was never
cubicles right there.
beautiful.
It was an office
Yeah.
more so than a visitor center.
Yeah, it's
But yeah,
it's
no,
a
that
source
was
of pride for sure when you go to other cities and see what they've developed as a visitor center, and then you would come back home and be like, we're kind of an office. We're an admin office look
Yeah.
and feel. So it's been great.
How often do you guys do stuff like that? Like go check out other cities and see what places are doing or what they look like? Is that something that's like a regular thing that you do, or how's that?
So I personally love to travel, and usually when I go to places, I try to do everything that they have to offer, which includes go to the visitors center. So when I was at TravelCon in Memphis, I actually walked to the Memphis Tourism Information Center to see
Cool.
their setup and everything that they have to offer. It's kind of a personal interest as well
Yeah.
as research.
For sure.
And I think a lot of times if we are traveling, we certainly make a point to go and comp shop, other cities and what they have. I personally don't like make trips just to
Yeah.
do that.
What is TravelCon?
So TravelCon was actually a conference that was for individuals who were interested in being YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest. So kind of your conference to learn how to do all of that and reach individuals through those
Oh, okay.
different avenues.
Kind of
Oh.
influencers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To reach the influencers to
So
come?
it was
To
some.
meet-
It was
or to meet influencers.
It was designed for influencers to get to be better influencers. So
Gotcha.
it was a conference to learn how to use those those portals better.
Yeah. Do you guys ever do anything like that or think about that with influencers are such a big thing nowadays.
Absolutely.
It's just like bringing people or trying to get people to come.
So we actually are bringing someone this August, so for the Illinois State Fair.
Cool.
And then we are reaching out and talking to a few other influencers as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we had a pretty strong run at it in 2019. Again, I mean, you
Yeah.
hate to sound like a broken record, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
everything was really on a fast track in 2019 to, you know, ramp that up. But we had, gosh, I would say it was probably close to 20 travel writers, bloggers, influencers come through
Nice.
Springfield. And it's great. And it's awesome from the marketing side because then we are afforded that content. So then we have more. Again, it's all about that user-generated story. It's about that user-generated photo. We are not telling our story anymore. Now someone else is telling our story, and it's so much more credible.
Yeah, credible,
to your
different
marketing.
lens, the way you might not think about it, points
Right.
you might not think about. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
pre-pandemic, we had a position dedicated to that, to working with travel writers and
really?
influencers, and we're just getting back to that. So we've just concluded some interviews and
Nice.
hoping to get that marketing specialist tourism position
Yeah.
back up and running again because we know they're coming back.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I tried to, before you guys were there and I was working with Visit Springfield, that was one thing I was like, hey, you guys got to, it's like, you should try to get some influencers or something to come, you know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
like, that's a big opportunity there. And I don't know what they, a lot of them charge or how they do it. So obviously that's, that it has to make sense. But
And I think there's an opportunity there too. I've said this for years, that to have local influencers. We have some very prominent people
Yeah.
in our community, and I think having some of that local voice as well is something that, and again, there were conversations and some thoughts about that prior to the pandemic. But
Definitely.
once we get back up and fully loaded, to find a couple of those people locally who aren't necessarily in it for the money, they're in it to promote Springfield.
Yeah.
For their own good as
For
well.
sure.
So.
Yeah, I think everybody should think about that. Business owners, individuals, anybody listening or watching, or anything that we can do to help our city, grow our city, help our local economy. The more sharing, the more submitting UGC, user-generated content. If you're visiting somewhere or whatever like that, going out, trying to submit that. So we have stuff to use. I definitely think that's an important thing that people should know. And again, I mean, and that's partially one of the reasons I was like, thought it'd be great to have you guys on, because obviously most of our followers are more local typically, but in the Central Illinois. So
If I could just tag onto that
Yeah.
really quick, we love when people send us their photos at the sites and attractions and when they're out having a great time in our city, and we make it so easy for you. So you mentioned the website earlier. On our header image of our website, there's a big piece right there that says click here to submit your photo, and they literally just have to click right there and upload that photo, and then it comes into our gallery.
so they don't even have to post it on social media. They could just do it through your website.
And they sure can, and they can @Visit Springfield, and we'll love that because that'll give us permission to use it. And then we can kind of backfill it from there. But if they go on our website and they just click on that top header that says upload your photo here, then those will go right into our collection, and we check that frequently and
yeah,
then bring
that's
those
great.
over into our marketing. So
Very neat. So you guys were telling me a little bit before we got started here that you were looking at getting a podcast situation set up.
We are.
What's the DL on that?
We are. Well, really, the inspiration came from the Illinois Presidential Museum.
Oh, that was
State of
cool.
Sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when they had the State of Sound exhibit there for that year, and they were booking in radio stations primarily from across Illinois, and they were allowing us an opportunity to come on and talk about Springfield for 5 or 10 minutes. And we were like, wow, that would be pretty cool if we could do that permanently.
Yeah.
And we have space at the visitor center on the south side of the Tinsley Dry Goods area that's actually got a street view.
Yeah.
So you think about that, it's like those radio stations
For
that got that
sure.
street view, and
That's awesome.
Got that traffic.
What was it? Was it a Silsa event? Did they have one there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hadn't
Yeah.
been to that, and we were at the Silsa event, and we were walking through the State of Sound or whatever, and someone was telling me about that, and they're like, "Yeah, you could come do your podcast here if you want." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "That's awesome. You guys are doing that. This is so cool." And they're like, "Yeah, you can set up your cameras. We have everything ready or whatever." And I was like, "Whoa, that's super cool."
it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
We're still putting it together. It'll take most of this year, as you know,
Yeah.
to really put that together, and we'll be picking your brain too.
Yeah.
about
Anything. I'm
sound
happy to. Yeah, I'd be happy to help.
and what have you. But we're moving through that process right now, and the goal is certainly by next spring to have podcasters, radio stations come in and be able to broadcast right there from that space. And remember, that's a historic space.
Yeah.
So
I think that's super cool. I get this like feeling from all of you that I don't get from a lot of people is that you're very open to like new things, and you're more forward thinking than a lot of people I think that I kind of run into, I guess, as far as.
Well, thank you. We try to be. We go as forward as we can.
Yeah. It's a tough thing to do, and I mean things change fast, and it sucks, and especially when it's like a government company or whatever. However, I don't know what exactly a city company. I know stuff can be hard to do things like this or change. There's all kinds of approvals and crap you got to do, but I think that's pretty neat.
We all come from the private world,
Yeah.
so maybe that's part of it. That we try to move things forward quickly, and really I'll tell you, the Langfeld administration has made that easier for us. I think
That's
some of
good.
the processes have been scaled back, and we've had some more separation there, and they really allow us to do our thing.
Great.
I think they trust us. I mean, that you bring people to a position because of the amount of time that you've been there, and although you're correct, I mean, there are challenges that are different from private sector, but at the same time, I think sometimes that drives us even harder to want to see things happen. Like it's never been done, it's always been this way, we can't do that, we've tried, then that's just one more thing that we say, we're going to try one more time and just see how that goes. So that was the most unfortunate part about all the momentum that we built in a year and a half going into 2020. But I will say that I think we're coming out of it as fast and stronger than we were before, because we learned to appreciate, and our community learned to appreciate tourism and what we do, I think, a little bit more over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Isn't that weird though? How you it's kind of like, when we were going through all that, one thing I thought about is how you don't appreciate things until they're gone. Mm-hmm. And it took me all the way back to where I broke my ankle one time. I was like, I've never appreciated walking so much. God. At the time, I lived on the top floor of an apartment building, so no elevator. It was 3 stories, crutches up and down every day. It was terrible. But, it made you appreciate being able to walk. Little things you take for granted, like being able to go to a business or out to eat. Mm-hmm. I think that is kind of I hate to say a benefit, but hopefully people recognize that coming out of it, like take that stuff for, appreciate it.
We heard that from our Downtown Springfield Inc. Members, and they said, wow, we didn't recognize or realize how much we relied on convention attendees and leisure tourists,
that's good.
Until they're gone.
When that evaporated, it was obvious where your business
Yeah.
was coming from.
Yeah, interesting. We didn't think about that
And as
either.
Scott said, our sales team worked, just tirelessly. We never lost one staff hour of any staff member that we had. We stayed on and, as appropriate, kept kind of accelerating as we could in 2020 with getting back to sales, rebooking conventions. The amount of cancellations that happened was just absolutely insane, and we didn't even know about all of them. We only knew what was booked,
Through our office.
tracked through our office, and that was binders and binders full of cancellation reports.
Jeez.
But every one of those got contacted to
Fill out
find
a
out when
report
are you
every
coming
cancellation.
back.
Oh, man.
Well, we had to track it. We tracked it for the state because they wanted a statewide number. But trust me, that was a depressing job to have in the first 6 months of the pandemic. Not only to be going through it and living it real life, having done this for so long,
Yeah.
it hurt. I mean, it
Discouraging
literally
almost,
physically
probably.
hurt to watch that happen. But then every single day to run 10 or 12 cancellations and tally up and send to Scott, well, we're at this many million and this many conventions and this many room nights. It was a little bit of a mental distress sometimes.
Yeah,
Some
I
days
can
I'm like, I
imagine.
can't do the report today. I cannot do it.
I got to switch gears here.
By the way, that number was $60 million through our office in cancellations in 2020.
Oh, jeez.
And that's
Holy.
probably a third being conservative.
Yeah.
There was a lot more than that out there.
That's crazy.
But it shows you why we're a $483 million industry in Sangamon County. I mean, that's a number I think people will find
yeah, that's
surprising.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That I think this year we go over $500 million in economic impact.
Wow.
I see it this year, the way the summer's stacking up.
That's
So
awesome.
coming out of a 100-year pandemic and doing over $500 million in economic activity.
Yeah.
Pretty proud of that.
No, you should be. That's amazing.
And
I love
the
I love
3,500
data, so.
jobs is huge too.
Yeah.
The tourism sector is a 3,500 person job
Yeah, and
market.
as that grows, more job opportunities and
It will. It's shrunk some, obviously shrunk
Well, but I
drastically,
mean,
but it's
yeah.
growing back in that direction.
as
But,
you guys help grow that, then there's more.
that's big for Sangamon
great
County.
jobs and-
I mean, that's a lot of jobs.
It's
so.
funny you mentioned the podcast thing being downtown because when we were looking for a new studio, one of the places I considered was the corner of Adams and what's that all glass right there where Catch used to be, the upstairs at Catch.
Fourth and Adams.
Fourth and Adams.
Incubator.
Where it was
Yeah.
an incubator. When
Yeah.
they moved out of there, I actually reached out to the realtor and I'm not going to say what happened there, but it was...
You're here, so.
Yeah, but I was like, how cool would that be to have our podcast right in the window, right there on the main corner of basically Springfield, and just do our podcast, do live streams, whatever, right there. And I was thinking kind of the right along the same route. So when you say that, that's funny you said that because I even talked to Ryan about it because Ryan's always kind of produced it. And I was like, how neat would that be, man? Just sitting right there. Maybe people are walking by in the background randomly or whatever.
Well, now you're going to get the chance to do it and not
Yeah,
spend the
I'm
money.
coming down there.
Now you're not going
Right.
to. You don't have to spend the money. You can
be
just
a visitor. A
you can
visiting
just use the
podcast.
space.
It's worked out great.
It's going to be pretty cool. We're going to pipe audio out to the sidewalks,
Oh,
and then we'll have an
there you
on-air sign, and then also we'll a digital scroll that'll let you know who's on air.
Yeah.
Because we'll get international travel media by the dozens,
Yeah.
and we'll see them using that space. Matter of fact, in 2019, we saw visitors from 76 different countries come through the visitor center.
Yeah.
So it just tells you we have a worldwide attention that's brought to Springfield, not just because of Abraham Lincoln, but Route 66 as well.
That's super cool.
And we've done some morning shows down in that window, and it's always very, very popular. And they're like, can we come down here every week? We always tell them they can, but they don't come back. But usually for National Travel and Tourism Week in May, we'll have a couple of radio shows, live from down there. And we always forget how cool it is down
Yeah,
here in
that's
this
neat.
window. So
Yeah, I love that idea. Well, podcasts are huge now. And they're not, they're not super expensive to do. It's not like a super complicated thing. Once you just kind of learn a few different things, and it depends on how far you want to take it. Obviously, once you start adding video and doing stuff like that, it gets a little more complicated. But especially straight audio, like our audio gear, it's not that expensive. Like it's not; these aren't great mics, but when we run it through all this stuff, they sound pretty good when you put it out. Actually, your podcast sounds as good as the professional ones. I'm like, this mic was like $15.
And are you not calling me professional? See, that would be my question.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to know for sure.
Yeah. So no, definitely, if you guys need any help with any of that, feel free. I'm happy to help with that. That'd be neat. I'd love to see that down there, and just anything pushing, podcasts. I think people, doing them, they're easy to do. I think people get discouraged by them though. Like if you're not getting like 1 million views or whatever after I'm like, I just like doing it. I don't care if anybody watches this. It's fun having a conversation, learning more about everybody. I think everybody has something to teach you or to learn from them, and something to share, So I think the few people that, that maybe take something away from this, it's a few people impacted, a few more, It's really cool, actually. Again, once you guys get rolling, give you some more tips and stuff on it, but one of the things that Spotify did is they approved us for like a tester, whatever you want to call it, a beta tester, and they allow us to put our video on Spotify. So when Joe Rogan moved to Spotify, that was like the first time they ever started video because his podcast is huge on video. And I was like, oh cool, everyone's going to be able to do this. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be like a YouTube kind of. And then nope, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it forever. And then we actually took a break from the podcast when we had just hired people. We bought this building. We were remodeling. There was just so much going on. It took like 7-8 month hiatus from doing it. But then I had submitted for it a long time ago, and then when it came back, I was like, oh man, Spotify approved us for putting video up. So I was super pumped about that. So yeah, all of our videos now can be on Spotify. And what's nice about that is when you're on your phone listening to it in the car, as soon as you get home, you can pull it up on your TV or whatever you want to do and just kind of kick off from there wherever you left off. Same on YouTube, but the audio on YouTube in your car and stuff doesn't work quite as well. You still got to stream the video.
I think it'll be a wealth of information for us.
Yeah. There's been a lot of trial and error and Yeah, no, happy to help with that. I think that's a really neat idea.
I want to give Andrew a shout out too, because he is such a huge part of our Central Illinois Customer Service Association, which is sponsored by Visit Springfield. So again, back in 2018, when our team came together, I had been on the founding board of that in 2015 when I was the marketing leader of Shields. And then coming together, and Scott and I had a conversation, and he felt very strongly that the Customer Service Association and Visit Springfield very much go hand in hand. If you think about that, if we bring people here for conventions and meetings and visitors and they're not having a good experience in the customer service way, why are we spending all this money and asking people to come here? And so we saw it very much as a good tie-in with what we do. And so we started supporting that and became the presenting sponsor and are still proud to be that. And then Andrew has joined us, and he does our videography and photography, and it's just really helped us to take SILSA to a new level when it comes to our social media and having great things there. And he's done several of our members as well with these podcasts. So
it's a good group. I've been a member of a lot of, on the business, starting it, trying to network and meet other business. It's a weird thing, especially when you don't know any business owners really. When I started off, so I was trying, the chamber and I don't know, just tons of different groups, and it was like I never through all those groups, for some reason, SILSA. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just get more out of it as far as the friendliness of people. It's nice because it's not like every single week you got to do something like a lot of I hate to call it like a networking group, but there is a little bit of networking, but it's just like I say I say it to Steve all the time, I'm like, it's just, and when I'm telling people about the group, I'm like, it's very much quality over quantity. Which I appreciate. You don't got to pay to go to the events. Once you paid your dues, you get to go to the events and the speakers, and it's just, I was like, man, this is the best group I've been part of. Like, this is great. So no, I'm glad that we got connected with you guys, and that's awesome that you guys sponsored that to help push that, promote it for sure. Have you had a chance to go out to any of the social events?
Have I? Yes, I did. I've done so much that my brain is, what have I done? What I did? Yes,
and who was putting it on?
And who was putting it on? But yes, I definitely love to learn, and I agree with you that those type of summits are beneficial.
The speakers have been great.
October is going to be amazing. We're getting ready next week to blast that out. It's a little sneak peek. It's the Gian Paul Gonzalez. He was the inspirational coach for the New York Giants the year they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be pretty fantastic. And that's going to be during National Customer Service Week. So we always do a signature event, we brought to the table when we came on board a signature event the first week of May for National Travel and Tourism Week. Again, with tourism being such a huge focus in our community and such a huge sector in our community, we kind of tie in a keynote to that. And then we always have one the first week of October. And we're super excited that September, I don't have it in front of me. I'm going to say the 17th, but double check it. We are back at Knights Action Park for the tailgater.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited
Doug
about
will
that.
be putting the Bears-Packers game
That's
that night
cool.
at 7:20 on the big screen, and everybody can bring their grills or just bring a sandwich or get
Yeah, that'll be
concessions
fun.
there. And we haven't had the ability to do that for a couple years, so that should be
I remember
a big
last year, I think Steve mentioned it to me, and then it didn't end up happening, or
It
whatever.
rained out. We
Yeah,
got rained out.
That's
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, we missed the pandemic year, and then then we were all like, we're doing it because it's safe. It was good, and then it poured, so we ended up having to cancel it.
Well, yeah, it's not one thing; it's another. Yeah, Ryan, I haven't even told you about that. The tail. Ryan loves the Bears. So.
Me too.
Yeah, no, that'll be super fun. Yeah, for those, we've talked about it on here before, but for those listening that don't know what SILSA is, Central Illinois Customer Service Association, great group. Whether you're a business or just an individual, very informative speakers, and just if you like to learn and expand yourself as a person or as a business owner, or as an employee or teammate or whatever, it's just super good information. Actually, that last one with
Aaron
Davis. I was listening to his whole thing, and I'm like, this is a brilliant presentation, because you could literally spin this to anything, and just switch out a few things, because I was like, he could spin this whole thing to marketing, You know what I mean? And or you could spin it to, and it was just the way he like put it together. I was like, this is really good.
He was so relatable.
He was incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, his message was simple and just so relatable.
Personality,
Yeah.
you know, joking around stuff. Yeah, that makes stuff so much better.
Yeah, the board spends a lot of time. We work through Capital City Speakers Bureau. Aaron and Peg over there are just phenomenal. But the speakers aren't by accident. And as you said, we want quality over quantity. So we could do an event every month, but we won't. We do a vetting process, and we interview them all by Zoom. And we really let them know what our expectations are for our speakers, because they are exactly that. It fits every rank and file, whether you're the CEO or you're the frontline employee. We tell them you have to hit every. It's a hard sell to the speakers. Like you have to hit everyone, because that is what we need to sell to our people, that this is for everyone. And the other thing that we tell them is we absolutely have to have a speaker that allows our people to leave with takeaways in their pocket that they can leave that moment and implement in their business or their practices. And most of the time, I think we've hit that, which leaves you with the feeling that you just expressed that you have.
Yeah.
Like, it was really quality information. And we have had some fantastic speakers. Ron Culberson last year was amazing too.
Good.
He was really fun.
Yeah, he was good. And
The
it's
humor guy.
come as you are as well. I think that a lot of times people get intimidated because they think that it's suits, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. You've
I
been
always
there.
tell people all the time,
It's
like,
come as
man,
you
I
are.
showed up to Illini Club. I forgot about that when I was in ripped jeans, and it's like I felt.
And we let you in anyway,
Yeah,
didn't
let
we?
you in anyway.
I did not get kicked out.
Yeah, we recognize that. I mean, it's not suits. It's not that corporate wear type of thing.
And I think
it's
people do get intimidated by thinking that, like I know I have some friends that own businesses, and I keep trying to get them to come out to these things. I'm like, these are good for you, man. And they're like, I just get nervous in that situation. I'm like, everybody's nice. It's great. I'm like, I'll be there. I'll introduce you to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you're in maintenance and you have a maintenance, come on out.
Absolutely.
Come on out and join, because that's really what it's for. It's the core of customer service and part of Celsa. So,
But again, just like thinking, I'm going to use our business, but thinking outside of the box of how you guys think about like being the sponsor of that. It doesn't like maybe at first seem like, well, why would we sponsor that? But thinking in the way that you have of, you know what I mean? If people are coming and visiting, and just like you said, like, what a great way. What a great way to think about it, It's and that's what, like I said before, I think having that broader thinking and trying to think about things differently, that's really cool to see that you guys are doing that, for sure.
I think Amy and Sarah are going to roll their eyes, but to this place and the kindness of these people, I owe everything.
Yes, Abe,
But
you do.
Abraham Lincoln said, 1861, he's leaving for the White House. And I think that still resonates today in the friendliness that is Springfield and that customer service component. And yes, it trickles down, right, from top to bottom. And so that's what we're thinking along the lines with Celsa is absolutely. We're spending all this time, effort, and resources to get people to visit Springfield. When they get here, we want them to feel that. And when they leave, to tell their friends, wow.
Yeah, how can we impact that?
Yeah.
I love that city. Yeah.
And that was when the tagline really hit us too, is, to be the friendliest city in Illinois. That's what we strive to be as well, in kind of a back way. So it was just a perfect fit, really.
Yeah. No, that's cool. What a great. It's just so important to be open-minded. You know what I mean? And a lot of businesses fail because they don't adapt and stay open-minded like that. I think it's one of those things like, when you're really young, your mind's free or whatever. And it's like, as you get older and you get all these responsibilities, and even myself, I have to keep reminding myself, like, I'll be getting mad at my kids about something like, they're just being kids. Let them just get crazy. Let them get dirty. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's tough to keep that mindset of, being open-minded, having fun with what you're doing, because what are we doing if we're not having fun every day? You know what I mean? And
We don't know. We have fun every day.
We do.
So we don't know how that works.
We push each other, and there's no crazy ideas. I mean, you would think, 5 or 10 years ago that slide down 66 was a crazy idea, right?
Yeah.
Doug Knight purchasing the giant slide,
Yeah.
and we're putting a Route 66 shield, a giant one, onto the slide.
That's awesome.
And you're going to be able to slide down 66. I mean, the giant slide's been here for 50 years. It's going to be the first time it's going to be open starting next year outside of the state fair.
Oh, it will be cool.
So it's always been open just for the state fair. Next year, starting in May, it'll be open on Saturdays.
Nice.
And you'll be able to come down. You'll have the shield on there. You'll be able to slide down 66. And you just think, Wow, that doesn't sound like something that a destination marketing organization or a city would get behind.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start thinking about it, how that could resonate internationally,
For sure.
It's a marketing manager's dream.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, we can market
And you'll
the
probably
heck
see
out of that.
you'll probably see the route. So this is funny. This is something I've pitched before, but like you'll probably see that Route 66 sign from Google Earth.
Oh,
Oh,
when you're
for
on Google
sure.
Earth. You know what I mean? Like when I was at Ace, we were doing the giant diamond at Denny Jewelers, and I was like, man, you should try to get them to put a giant logo on top of it because you know what I mean. When Google Earth, and so, they might blur it out. I don't know. Sometimes they blur out logos and people's faces and stuff. So, but I always thought about that. I was like, we should just draw a giant orange box on top of the building. So on Google Earth, when you look down, it's like, oh, there it is. Because they'll put like pins on people's businesses, but like, what if you had your own giant pin on there? I always thought that'd be funny. No, that would be neat. That would be super cool having that there. It's funny you said no idea is crazy. If you go, so our bathroom was like the only thing that didn't get remodeled in this place. So it's like very like 80s feeling in there. And I was like, we're just gonna keep it like this. We're just gonna lean into it. I was like, and I started like writing on the stalls, kind of like you would in like a gas station. But one of the things I wrote was not all crazy ideas are great, but all great ideas are crazy.
love it.
Yeah, my coffee mug in my office says crazy just might work.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to, as you said, lean in and embrace it.
We might have to take that idea for the admin offices as we go to renovate
Oh, yeah.
ahead of the bathrooms.
We can all graffiti the stalls.
That'd be
Just
pretty cool.
That's what I figured was just
With
I'll keep
ideas.
writing on
With ideas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
May not work at the visitor center.
Right. Let's,
Yeah.
I was going to put
No public access in our office.
for a good time call and just have our number.
It'll be Abe Lincoln, I'm sure. Call Abe.
But I didn't, it was just, we'll probably renovate them eventually, but I just thought it was funny, like lean into like the old gas station, like it's just stuff written in there, but have like motivational or inspirational things instead. So yeah,
Do you have a key on a giant like wooden log?
Yeah.
You need to have like that hanging
To
in
get
there
in
because
there.
that's the best part of the gas station.
That's funny, yeah. Actually, when I was at Ace the other day, I loved that they had the for the Route 66 Sign Museum, which I don't know if anyone's aware of that. They got a ton of old signs at Ace Sign Company, which are super cool. But on their bathrooms, they just had the giant people in vinyl on them,
thought
and I
that
was
was
like,
great.
oh, that's cool. We should have done that.
The
Instead
silhouette
just
of the body, so
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
see
No,
they're
they're-
really fun.
Instead of
Really,
women
really
or men, or the woman and the man, or whatever.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
You could tour the
Is that
sign museum.
part of your History Comes
yes.
Alive
So as part of the History Comes Alive program, you can take a guided tour of the Ace Sign Museum, which I would suggest. It's very cool, especially if you like neon and old signs and history and creativity.
Had you spent much time in Springfield before
I
coming here?
had done most of the sites and the attractions prior to coming here, but it's really nice to get to know the people behind those because as we're kind of doing this discussion, I always had a conversation with a friend that's like, don't come from a place of no. Like, always say every idea is a good idea and try to find the gem in that concept. So.
And Sarah is heavy into Route 66 as well in Litchfield, and
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah,
her
I
knowledge
think
of
about
Route
that, yeah.
66.
For
That's
sure.
huge for us.
When did you say? How long ago did you say you started?
I started last August, the end
August.
of last
So
August.
how has just getting to go to all these things probably more extensively than you have before, as far as the history comes alive, and is that you got feedback on? I'm just curious from coming.
I love meeting all of the people behind all of the attractions, and I think the wealth of talent here in Springfield and the ideas generated is huge.
Yeah.
So everyone from IDNR to the Lincoln Home to other sites and attractions and privately owned businesses, I think even you, as you're sitting here talking and telling us how you've grown, like those are huge accomplishments and takes a lot of creative thinking, and I think that is one thing that Springfield definitely has going for it.
Yeah. No, it's it's like I said before, it's just interesting once you get out and start going to these things, and hopefully even the local people will get out there, hearing this, that maybe they haven't known about it or whatever. But I think there's just a lot to take advantage of.
And I would say to that point as well, what I always talk to our staff at the visitor center is if you have local people that come in, welcome them, tell them what
Just
we
like
have to do
anybody
as
else,
well.
yeah.
So if anybody's listening that is local, you are welcome to stop at the Visitor Center, and we will show you what you can do and be a tourist in your own town as well.
Yeah, we've already talked about it a little bit, but yeah, if you've never been to the newer visitor center, I say newer because
It is.
We went through a time
I told my
warp
wife,
with
I'm like, I
COVID.
just got to tack like 3 years on anything I talk about. But it's super cool down there. You guys got the digital sign in there. They play the videos on. Did they do that sign in there? Yeah,
They did.
And we were down there. I was down there the other day, and they had Abraham Lincoln in there, talking with people, telling stories. And man, he's great at that. He's got good stories and he's good at
Absolutely.
interacting.
And people absolutely love it. Our social is just blowing up this summer with people just commenting on how they were there and how, or we're coming and when exactly, like we're coming because we want to meet up with him. Like it's
Yeah.
very much a draw for people to travel here. And a lot of grandparents with their grandkids love to come here because it gives them an affordable, outside of the Presidential Museum for good reason, there's an admission there, but all of our other sites are completely free. And
Yeah.
so to really come here or even be a local and spend your staycation here and have all those great experiences. To tag into the Route 66 as well and how cool our locals are, as Sarah was saying, the depth and knowledge and things that we have. Part of our Route 66 efforts have been our Living Legends program, Living Legends of the Route 66. So we encourage local people alike as well as visitors to come in and get our Explorer Passport. It's 20 different sites, attractions, and culinary kind of adventures in this one little convenient pocket-sized passport. And what it does for locals is it reminds them of like the 12 kind of the top sites that are the must-see if you're only going to be here for a short time. But then the flip side of that book are our living legends. So 8 different legends, such as Sam over at the Made Right, Michael at Maldener's, John up at Full Gen Z's, all the way down to Ron at Motorheads. So people can get that and they can have this little trail experience through Springfield and meet our legend. So it tells them a little bit about them. It has a place for them to autograph their book there. And then each of them has a life-size cutout. In case they're not there, they can still take a selfie with them. But it encourages people to get to know the cool people that we have in our community a little bit deeper and bring that human connection to it where they want to come and they want to actually meet this person who's been in business, for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, what is there anything else that we've missed? We've hit some good points, I feel like. Is there anything else you guys want to share? Like, I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that's been going on or stuff I've seen, but man, so many conventions and there's been a lot of good stuff. Did you go? What was the truck one? Did you go to the truck one? I wanted to take my son to it, but it was like right when we were having the new baby. It was a tough
No, I
time.
hear you. Yeah, the American Truck Historical Society. Absolutely. Yeah, they had over 700 historical trucks from all over the country.
That's so cool. I wish I
come in.
wish
And,
I could have taken
well, we're hoping to have them back in 2026. So they've got an open date. That happens to also be the 100th anniversary of Route 66 in
Nice.
26. So we believe with the fairgrounds being right on the original Route 66, and obviously that history for the trucks that, we'll have a good chance to get in the back. First reports are they had a great time here, but they had great weather. Thank you, Mother Nature.
Yes,
Yeah.
that always helps.
So, we're hoping to have them back. But, also very excited about the Shield Sports Park. I got to throw that in. I got to throw that in.
Minor
Andrew.
detail.
Yeah.
Minor details. Just so excited
Have
about
they
that.
broken ground on that yet?
Not yet. We're expecting late July or early August. They just got moved through the use permit changed for that area. So now I think it's full speed ahead, wrapping up the financing, getting the groundbreaking done. They'll go vertical this fall. I think that's the exciting part. Sure, I love the groundbreaking, but
Right.
when you see the vertical happen, it's coming.
Stuff getting built.
Absolutely. And, we've been talking about this for 20 years in this city. And, this is going to happen certainly because of Shields. Shields is the anchor out there. It's its own destination. But the way that we put this together and the way that the city came in first, and that's where all the other projects had failed, is the city would come in and fill the last gap, and the gap was too big. So we said, hey, can the city come in first? Let's fill that first part of it. That will then inspire some sponsors and other people to say, wow, the city of Springfield's behind it. Certainly on the financing side, that helps as well, knowing they have a dedicated stream of funding coming through for the next 20 years. So putting all that together, I mean, we're going to end up with a 95-acre sports park that's going to add a brand new tourism market, sports tourism, to the city of Springfield. We're talking about 250,000 people coming through Springfield, spending $30 million, new dollars, in the community.
That's crazy.
And those are conservative estimates.
Yeah, it's tough, like, because I know when I first saw it, I was like, oh, government getting involved with business, this is a bunch of bullshit. But then it's like you think past, you got to like try to look at the big picture and think past it a little bit as far as, well, what's that doing for the other business? What's that doing for the community? Like, you know, so it's because how's that working? They're giving them like somewhat of a tax break. So how's that work?
Here's the beauty of it. It's really the visitor tax that's paying for the majority of the supplemental from the city. 2% of the local hotel tax.
Yeah.
There's also a 1% from the sales tax from just Legacy Point. That's it. Not the entire sales city tax, but just from Legacy Point. So the sales that are generated, excuse me, at Legacy Point will then be added to that supplemental.
Yeah.
So really, it's the visitor tax and the Legacy Point sales tax.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's going to be awesome. It's it was a shame that, like, when Shields went up, I was like, oh, this is going to develop out here. Cool. This is quick, you know.
Shields
when they were
talking
yeah, when they were talking about the, the outlet mall and all this stuff, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then it all obviously kind of got put on pause, and none of it ever happened. And it's like, what's going to actually happen out here? So it's cool. They finally like have this going on, and that's it. When I saw like the rendering, I don't know how close it's going to be to the rendering, but I was like, whoa, that's amazing.
No, it is, and all that ancillary will build up. So yeah, I know we talked about the outlet mall and what have you. It may not be specifically an outlet mall, but you'll see retail. You'll see additional hotel or two.
Yeah.
Experiential things
exactly
will be happening out there.
Yeah,
you'll see that.
Casa Real just remodeled that whole place over there like a few years back, and they're heading out there. I was like, oh, I was like, they see the opportunity.
It's the 70 acres around
the
sports park that will develop. That will be the amazing part for Springfield. Certainly the sports park and bringing in the new, sports tourism. But
it's kind of nice too because it's not just the west side. You know what I mean? Everything keeps moving west. So
very
it's kind
central.
of it's kind of nice. It's like more central, and it's developing a more of a area in Springfield that's not just building stuff on the west side, which is kind of cool.
And because of the sports park, there will be, even if you're don't have children who play or you're not interested in the sports part of it, as Scott said, it's going to benefit all of the residents of Springfield because we're going to have so many new things to choose from and experiences, and just make our live, work, and play in our community that much better.
Yeah.
Even if you don't care about the sports park, you're going to reap the benefits of what that's going to bring and attract to our city. So.
Do they have like a goal on when they want it like completed or anything?
So there's going to be an air dome that's been added, and it will be completed by fall of 2023. So fall and winter, that air dome will be in use. And then teams on the fields, there'll be 8 multi-purpose fields on the fields by spring of 24.
Cool.
So that's what we're looking at. And then shortly after the teams get on the fields, the field house will get started. That'll be about a two-year process, give or take. So there'll eventually be 8 multi-purpose fields, a field house with 8 basketball courts, 16 volleyball courts, and
pickleball.
then the air dome and pickleball.
Oh,
yeah,
pickleball.
Absolutely.
Cool. So they'll be out there. There'll be baseball,
soccer, baseball,
pretty much everything.
Pretty much, yeah. Anything you can play on a field. Yeah, these multi-purpose fields will be anything you can play on a field. So, really, if anyone gets a chance, take a look at Sandusky, Ohio, Cedar Point. This is the playbook from Sandusky, Ohio. What they have in Sandusky and at Cedar Point is essentially what we're going to have in Springfield.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It gives you a good visual.
Yeah.
It puts eyes on it, and it's very impressive.
Is it the same company helping develop it that's there? Or?
Kind of. Hey, you kind of hit on that. So actually, the gentleman that put that together in Sandusky, Ohio for Sports Force Parks moved over to sports facility companies.
But he's got the experience.
And he's got the experience. He actually wrote the playbook for Sandusky and Cedar Point. He's moved over to SFC, will be the management company for the Shield Sports Park. So we have all of his knowledge, and
Nice.
yeah, maybe that's why it looks a little bit similar. But it's also because
That it works.
it's been very successful.
Yeah.
Their early estimate said
Don't
30
reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, they're doing over $60 million a year in economic impact. They
Wow.
originally thought they would do 30 to 40. So they've got both their indoor and their outdoor done.
It's a good like thinking about it now. It's kind of a good tie too. So you got that there, and then there's Knights Action Park, and then you got the west side. Like here, it's like right all off of that,
And you're
off the
still
highway.
only just minutes. I mean, convenient to get downtown to the historic sites. I mean,
Yeah.
I think one of the things that puts us in the forefront of being a great sports tourism marketing city is that people go and travel all over the United States with their kids to tournaments, but there's never all of that built-in downtime activity. So they're looking for, we'll go back to the hotel and go to the pool. You know, that's all we've
Right.
got. You mentioned a few right there. Obviously, Shields is built right in, Knights is right there. But our city, as SFA said in the marketing analysis back early 2019, was we have the absolute prime location for families to visit because there's so much to do that's affordable
And
and
it's-
free
I was gonna say-
that in their downtime they don't have to wonder about what to do or where to go. It's
easy.
here. It is. It's easy. It's convenient to get around.
Like big city, like really big cities can be such a pain in the butt. Honestly, that's why I like St. Louis a lot, because it's kind of like a Chicago feel, but it's easy. You can find a parking spot. It's not,
I feel that way about Indy. I think Indy is great. Like if you get to know Indy,
I've only
it's
spent
it's
a
quick
couple
buzz.
been to Indy a couple
Yeah.
times, but yeah.
Well, and to Scott's point too, the indoor, with that going up first, when that gives us this opportunity, I don't know if people really realize we're a very much, I call it floor sport city. Like that's where we've had our bread and butter in the sports tourism market because we have the convention center. So this week, for example, we have two back-to-back AAU and USA National gymnastic competitions are back-to-back at the convention center this
Oh,
week.
wow.
So combined, we've got about 3,000 coaches, spectators, and athletes in our downtown area competing in these two national competitions. But wrestling and gymnastics and tumbling and trampoline events, we have really built our core sports market on those type of events. And what this will allow us is to host several at a time or to get larger scale ones
Yeah.
into Springfield with that as well. So our floor sports market has been strong, and I think this will only help us to kick that up even farther.
Well, and it's led to
Exciting.
for example, the USL2 team, the United Soccer League team, the new franchise that's here in town that's playing at SHG and has been. They have 2 games left. They're here and they're here to stay in Springfield, and so we're going to have pre-professional soccer in the city of Springfield with the hopes that they'll build a stadium down the road.
Yeah.
And I think that stadium could be connected to the sports park. So you
would
think
be
about
very
that. All of
cool.
a sudden, we become, a sports city that has pre-professional soccer, and then what's next, right? You look at baseball, you look at other sports. I mean, all of a sudden,
There's a
here
lot
we
of
are.
stuff coming kind of together. It's
Yeah.
nice that they kind of, Jamie Melissa took over
I
the
was just gonna
shoes
say,
and
we've got the
kinda
collegiate league
rebranding
kinda
that
coming
and
back on
trying
board.
to push it, make a huge push with that. I think it's really, when you think big picture like that, there's a lot of stuff happening kind of all at once. I mean, obviously within a few years span, but really in big picture all at once, which is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Transportation hub downtown will be done by 2025.
Amazing.
I mean, that's going to be amazing. We've got the Route 66 experience at the Illinois State Fairgrounds at Gate 2. That's a $2 million phase 2 that's got the funding in place. And there'll be
I don't know if I know about that. What is that?
you don't know about
I
that?
don't
See, we could be
know.
here all day. You said
could.
an hour.
Just real quick,
We're an
yeah.
hour.
This will be the final day.
I was thinking about that. It's the Illinois State Fairgrounds Route 66 experience. We had a ribbon cutting last year at the first day of the state fair. The governor was there. It's going to tell the history of Route 66 in Illinois through some time capsules using the existing buildings that are in the courtyard area of Gate 2. But then there'll be a neon sign park as well, and there'll be a self-guided tour. So the fairgrounds are open
Gotcha.
year-round, so you'll be able to pull through the main gate. You'll be able to slide down 66 if you want, right?
Yeah.
Pull
Or take
back
a
around,
selfie.
or take a selfie. Yeah, either one. Pull back around to the experience. It's self-guided. You'll be able to walk through the buildings, Route 66, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s,
Cool.
and experience that part of it. See the neon sign park. Have plenty of Instagrammable
Nice.
moments.
Learn about the
That'd be
Green
super
Book
cool.
experience.
Green Book experience, plenty of places for car shows as well. I mean, there'll be some space for auto shows to be out there and cruise-ins and you name it. And so And really, that's going to tie into the master plan that's happening with the Illinois State Fairgrounds right now. They're moving through their own master plan. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
That all this is coming together. So you're right. In the next 4 or 5 years.
It'd be interesting to see to see how things are in 5 years. You know what I mean? It's funny. My brother lived here. We grew up here, and I did pretty much. But every time he comes back, he's came back more often lately. But it'll usually be a couple of years or whatever. He's like, "Oh man, they built this." I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess they did. I forgot they built that." But yeah, when you talk about the next 5 years, all this different stuff, it's going to be. It's exciting to see that all happening. So
The momentum train is back on the track.
it's cool. It's awesome that you guys, like I said, the forward thinking, being open minded, and helping promote all that and push it and facilitate just different things between SILSA and all these different things going on. It's just really cool. So I hope people recognize that out there and appreciate what's going on and can help share and promote and send pictures, and I mean those are easy things that people can do to help help out.
I want to point out that really the heart of Visit Springfield is our staff and our team, and with these new additions, we're going to have over 250 years of tourism experience. That's out there promoting the city of Springfield. So just very proud of that, very proud of the team that we have in place and the experience that we have. And just the city should know that you're in good hands.
Yeah.
And, we'll continue to push that needle and move well past that $500 million mark in economic activity. And I think it just makes you feel good, when you come to the office every day and you've got that much experience, driving the destination marketing message.
Yeah, no, it's shining through. That's for sure.
And I think if I could add a final thing there, since we're talking about the engagement with our community, I think one thing that we've really tried to instill is be proud of your city. Scott mentioned earlier, 76 countries came here in 2019. And I've had people say, why? Like, that's their question when I tell them that.
That's weird.
And I feel because we're really cool and people love us, and you should love us too. So it's really that instilling pride in our community and giving. And so what we try to do is give people reasons to be proud of that and educate them on why we say Springfield is cool and we have lots to do. And if you don't know that, then you can certainly visit our website and quickly, as you said, come on board with, oh yeah, I guess there is a lot of stuff to do here. But another way people can do that is through our meetings and conventions. So we always want to say to our public here, we know you all travel to go to conventions for your job or business meetings. If you're traveling outside of Springfield to do that, when you go, could you just have a brief thought of, could we do this in Springfield? And if you can, contact our office. We do all of the work for you. Just tell us what conference you were at and maybe if you know who the main contact is. And we would love to reach out and ask them to come here. And then you could host, you're not hosting it, but you could be proud to know that you brought that piece of business to Springfield. And, I think that that's a great source of pride to say, hey, I told someone about this and now this has, and the impact that has on our community is ripple effects, as we just talked about. The tourism dollars are, huge. And that all comes from people buying gas and shopping and eating in restaurants and staying in the hotels. And you've done all that by bringing us that business. So just another thing, another way to be proud of your city.
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of that whole, like, when you've lived here your whole life, and I think that's what ends up happening to people is what I mean? It's like not appreciating it until it's gone type thing, I've heard that before, people that moved away, they moved back, like, man, it was expensive as hell to live there or whatever, it's just, and I learned that quick, when I was starting, Ootbox, is that, it was nice having the people and knowing a lot of people in the community, and you just got a lot more support than say I would have moved somewhere else and tried to start this. Like, it would have been 10 times harder because I would have literally not known anybody. I would have been, you know what I mean? It would have been, yeah. So anyway, well, before we go, hardest part of your guys' business, biggest struggle.
The pandemic.
And we're done.
And we cannot end on pandemic. Wait a minute. I think that the uneducated and misinformed about what we do. I think that's our hardest. We're always trying. And I think, to Scott's credit, we have worked very hard since coming into this, whether it's through our partner update, reaching out to, we send out information now willingly and, proactively to our business partners in Springfield, letting them know what we're doing, letting them know what conventions are coming in, letting them know things like that. And that really didn't happen in the past. It was a little bit more of, less shared information. And so I would say that one of our biggest platforms is we do have a purpose and we are important and we do have a vital role in this community, and we want people to know that. So I think our biggest challenge is just communication and getting people to understand and how can they help. And this today, I think, will be amazing. I hope that lots of people hear this and understand that they can be. I mean, we're just the small little body that's tasked with the logistics of this, but we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
The 12 or 13 of us aren't going to make that difference. We need the community to come on board and, come together and, as you said, share and interact with it. So.
Yeah, communication, collaboration, two of our core values, and I think we've lived that for sure the last few years, minus the pandemic sort of thing.
We don't count that.
But yeah, really, letting the community know about our messaging and exactly what we're doing. That's probably the toughest part. But
how can you help?
Yep.
All right. Well, we really appreciate everything you guys do. I think it's definitely shining through more than ever. Anybody listening, check out visitspringfieldillinois.com for all the events, stuff going on.
It'll change your life, right, Andrew?
That's right. And definitely get out there. And if you're going to sites, doing anything in Springfield fun, tag them, share them, submit it on the website, and help support your community and your city. Again, all this stuff, the tourism, everything helps local businesses. And it's just we gotta all grow together. So thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's
Thank
great
you
talking
for
with
having
everybody.
us.
This
Thanks,
is
Andrew.
great, Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks.
Wish you the best.